So today we're going to make a mask using and a selection using channels. So you can see this Irishman has some wispy hairs, and we're going to attempt to get those into our selection. So to begin with, let's open up our channels panel here. And as always, when making changes, we make a copy of our layer, and we're going to call this Irishman. And we're going to look at our channels, and you can see that all the channels are black and white, and together they make up the composite of our RGB. So what we're going to do is look and see which one has the most contrast to begin with. I'm going to choose green, and we're going to make a copy of that channel, and we're going to call this alpha hair. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're going to go to image, apply image, and what we're trying to achieve here is to darken these little wispies and lighten the background. So we're going to come here and make this overlay. You could use multiple too, but I think overlay gives us a better feel here. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is go to levels. So I'll go to image, adjustments, and levels. And we're going to try to lighten the area around those hairs there. Let's see if we can do this. There we go. And just move the sliders back and forth till you lighten those. Okay, that did a pretty good job there. And we'll say OK. Now the next thing we're going to do is use our dodge and burn tool. And we're going to use the dodge tool and set it to highlights and set the exposure to 100%. And we'll use a hard brush for this and a little larger brush. Yeah, probably even larger than that. Probably around 100. Maybe, well, for round here we'll use, oh, that's way too much. All right, that's taking out everything. All right, let's change our exposure to 50 and see what happens there. Well, I think what we're going to do is start with the burn tool here and really darken up those little wispies. Just going to go along the edge here and darken them up like this and around here. Okay, those look pretty good. And we, of course, used shadows and a 45 exposure. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our dodge tool. And this time I'm going to change, let's see, the hardness on that. Because I've done this before and had better success with 0 hardness. And we're going to use the highlights and 100% here. All right, there we go. So now we're going to go along these little wispies like this. And I'm just going to go around here like this. Okay, now if you look, I'm going to zoom in here so you can see we still have a lot of his hair that we've captured. There. Just going to go along the edge here and Control 0, and I'm going to paint these like this, and I want to make the contrast between the background and the image as strong as I can. I'll go along here. And here, this is a little darker, so I'll probably have to go over this a couple of times. I'm working kind of fast because I don't want you to have to sit and just watch this while I'm working. There's also printed instructions if that does better for you. Some people learn better by reading than by watching. So we have to do things the way everybody knows the best way that they can learn. I'll just go over this. Okay, and I'm going to go back just a little bit to my burn tool and just see if I can make these just a wee bit stronger. Okay, I think that's about as strong as I can get them. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is go to the quick selection tool here. And I'm just going to come around here like this and select all of our Irishmen except for the wispies. There we go. And then I'm going to make sure that black is in the foreground and come here to the brush. And I'm going to use a rather large brush, normal, 100% opacity and 100% flow. And I'm just going to paint this in with black. And because I've got the selection, I can just go back and forth and not be too careful. And oh, looks like I had a little piece there that I didn't get. Okay. And I'll come back and there we go. All right. So now we have our selection. And what we're going to do now is go to layers and refine the edge. So because we don't have the wispies exactly the way we'd like them. So the first thing we're going to do is go to Smart Ratio and try to find a radius for when we're picking up some of those hairs. Okay, looks like that looks pretty good right there. I'm going to go about here because I noticed that the jawline was getting a little light there. And I'm going to go to my Refine Radius tool and just come out here. I know that the hairs are here, so I'm just going to go along here. And I can pick a bigger brush if I want by coming up here. And just getting all these little wispies in here. There we go. All right. Well, that's looking pretty darn good. I can also adjust the edge by increasing the contrast, and of course it shows what we're doing. Um, One thing I didn't show you is you can do this either on a black background, which I don't know if that is really helpful, or like this, which could be helpful too, on white. So you can choose whichever way you want to do this, whether with an overlay, um, marching ants, um, etc. Okay, so we're just going to, well, this actually looks pretty good on the black. You can also do it on layers, like this. Okay, so I'm just going to cancel this for now. Oh, I didn't finish though, because what I wanted to do, and let me go back to my refine edge here. Um, Geez, I canceled it, so I'm going to start over again. Okay, so this, and get some of those wispies. Okay, that I'm losing the jaw there. All right, and I will make the edge a little stronger. You can see that coming. And let's see, I'm not go here and pick up some of those wispies on the edges here. There we go. All right, that looks good. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to decontaminate the colors. What that's going to do is remove the gray, any gray that's behind there, or white in this case, since we changed it. And then we're going to output to a new layer with a layer mask. You have some choices here of either output to a selection, to a layer mask, to a new layer, etc., etc. But this is what we're going to use today. And there we have it. And here is our layer mask here. And we're going to choose this, and it's going to mask out the background. Now we're going to take the American flag, which we have opened already, and I'm going to make a copy of this and call this flag. Always like to name my layers, it helps me. And I'm going to go to Window, Arrange, and 2 up vertically, and drag this over to here and down behind our, and there you've got it. And you can see we have our guy here, and he's got his little wispy hair, and that worked out pretty darn good. Now, if you're not quite satisfied with the, you can go on here again, and you can, on the layer mask, and you can refine the mask further here, as you can see that it does have some gray area in here. So you can decontaminate here. Let's see. Let's see, that didn't work out too well. Here, with the contrast, we can move the contrast, and that helps it. Okay. And then we'll just output to the layer mask. There we go. And we got rid of some of that. So there we go. I hope you go ahead and do something to get rid of some of his little heavy lines there, and continue to fix him up. So that's it. Bye.